Hello and welcome to Outraised Voices from wherever you're streaming from. I'm your host, Sharon Lee Williams, and I'm so glad you're here. So today, our theme is about what is family. When I grew up, television portrayed the so-called perfect family, at least to me. They were white, lived in the suburbs, maybe had a pet, a mom and a dad. That was perfect. At least I thought that was perfect. My imperfect family comprised a foster mother, a foster father, two foster sisters, and sometimes temporary foster sisters. Occasionally, I had a different foster mother and a different foster father and a different home. But today, families look different. Whether it's by birth or fate or choice, we have a broader feel, a broader look. And it means different things to each of us. There's a rich family mosaic with complexities and stories in all of our communities. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what does family mean to you? What's the ideal family look like to you? Is there such a thing as an ideal family? I call all my guests on Outraised Voices CEOs. Why? Because they bring conversation, they bring education and outreach / optimism. Today we're going to talk about the making of a mosaic family with today's CEO, Kalina Phillips. Kalina Phillips is the mother of such a family. She is the adoptive mother of a beautiful daughter, Christy, and the biological mother of her son, Stephen. Kalina Phillips worked in Toronto on top-tier sessions, singing everything from country to jazz and rock on radio and television. She wrote and directed 2 films, Making Change, which she presented at TIFF, and Leap Year Love Dance, about the legendary Alberta cowboy, John Weir. She continues a solo career as a singer-songwriter. Now, her interests include learning about African Canadians who are part of Canadian history and developing food knowledge and food security practices to present to local communities. Building on cooking skills learned from her parents and encouragement from her family, her handmade pastries sell well. I know, I've tasted them. The happy lives of her children and grandchildren bring joy into her active life. Welcome, Kalina. Hi, Kalina. I am so happy you're here and that you said yes. I know that the subject matter can be a little challenging, so I'm so glad from my heart that you said yes to coming on the show. I also want to say, full disclosure, everybody out there, Kalina is a very close friend of mine. A very close friend of mine. So we've known each other probably almost 50 years, I would think.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been an oh my goodness time. So what I read in your bio, a lot of that applies to me, about being in the jingles and all of that. But today we are...
I just want to thank you too for, giving me a chance to try to be helpful in this great endeavor that you're doing. I think it's really important work.
Yeah, thank you, Kalina. Thank you. Because as I say to everybody, your every voice matters. And we hope that we reach everybody out there that needs to hear what you have to say. And you haven't heard before, but I've said I call my guests CEOs because they bring conversation, education, and outreach / optimism. So you are today's CEO, and we'll have ongoing episodes with What is Family. And as I mentioned before in earlier, Kalina is an adopted her daughter, Christy, as a baby, and she also has a biological son, Stephen. Pardon?
Right. I was just agreeing.
Yes. So that's what we're here to talk about. And I have a couple of questions, of course. Like, I was thinking today, when you and Peter, your husband at the time, were sitting around talking, how does this conversation come up? What motivated you to say, let's adopt a child? Now, I'm assuming you already had Stephen at that time, or if I'm wrong, please correct me. Yeah.
I did already have Stephen, but I should say that the idea of adoption was very long-standing with me. Heard stories about, and really came to a decision, or at least it was in my heart and mind to think about adoption from probably about the age of 14, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a very long-standing idea in me. Just for various stories that I heard, and which made me think about how I would respond to adopting a child, or respond to the stories of children who were adopted that I'd heard. And so when it came to talking about it, it was very easy for me, actually. It seemed not to be a difficult thing for Peter to absorb either.
Mm-hmm.
We went ahead and applied to adopt, and were successful. We were successful in that, a lot of, at that time, there were, I think as now, a lot of people wanted and needed by the Children's Aid Society, who was doing adoptions then, as now, I guess. They were looking for people to adopt children, and looking, I guess, also for a particular mix. So as a biracial couple, it was, I guess, important for them to be able to place a biracial child with a biracial couple.
Oh.
Yeah, so it all kind of came together in that way, and it all felt very comfortable, because it was something that I was very, very comfortable with from a long time.
Wow. So because taking that feeling, that passion from 14 to, as a married woman, I've got a child, I'm still continuing with this passion, I want to get back, or whatever the motivation was. And I always question, how did you go forward with that? And I didn't know if, when you get to the Children's Aid Society and you say, okay, I'm here, would it have mattered that they had a biracial child? Would it have been any baby? Would you have been comfortable with having a child of any culture?
Yes, I would have been comfortable. One of the things that did inform me, though, was the 60s scoop of Aboriginal children. And I believe that I fairly well specified that I did not want to remove an Aboriginal child from his family. That I did not want to do that. I wasn't hearing good things then, and as things have borne out, it wasn't good, and I didn't want to be part of that.
Yeah, you're an educated. You were already educated to that. What was going on, certainly with the Indigenous and Aboriginal. Wow.
Yeah. So when I say that I heard I had absorbed a lot, and that informed me and made me feel very comfortable in my decision.
Oh, okay. So what's the next step? Do they bring a child to you? Do you go? I mean, how does this work? How do you choose your beautiful child?
Well, just to say that the biracial aspect was more the children's AIDS issue, not mine.
Right. But I mean, how do you going forward? I mean, are there multiple children that you have access to and you choose from, or they say this is the child we have for you?
That was yes, they chose to connect Christy with us.
Wow.
And I mean, there's a vetting process, of course, that you have to go through, and multiple forms to fill in, and you're checked hopefully up, down, and sideways before they consider that you might be right for to have a child, to add a child to your family. And so we went through all of that process, and then there was a waiting period where they would decide or tell us, if they had a child who they thought would be a good match, and that's what happened.
Wow.
So they arrange that you can go ahead and meet the child, and that was lovely. It was really a lovely event, because you're very excited. I mean, you're just so very excited, and you don't know what this person is going to be like. You've never seen them before. You've never heard their voice or their laughter, and same with you. They don't know you, and it's very interesting to see how things are going to, how you're going to connect.
So that can you take us back to that day? Can you sort of remember that day and that feeling? You and Peter and Stephen's a bit young at the time, so but that day that here comes Christy, was that her given name, or
that was the name we gave her?
That's the name you gave her. Okay, so
we named her because once a child is adopted, they're your child, and everything that you would do with your child, you do. So she was great, and she just came very bouncy, running in, and she was nobody directed her to us. It just was an opportunity to see, how we would interact with her, how she would interact with us, and it went really, really well. And from that, they, followed up with, I guess, doing their assessment. It wasn't a long meeting, but there was an assessment that they then went through, and got back to us to say that, yes, we would be allowed to adopt our daughter.
Oh my God, you're making me cry here, but
it was very special.
It's a beautiful. I just feel it was such a beautiful moment, and I have my own stories around it. I'm seeing you and Peter and Stephen. But how old was Christy actually at that time? Because you said running. I didn't. didn't realize that she was a running
Well,
baby.
people, babies her age were not usually running, but she was. So she was a very advanced child for her age because she was only, I don't know, 9 months or something like that. She was just really
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, she was amazing, physically amazing, which is not surprising if you know
Yeah.
her now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
a
that was
match. For what I
Pardon?
know of you, a match for you because you have always been energetic, always stepping out, ready to go. What a beautiful match. She's running at 9 months and you're running still. You're still going. So it's just a beautiful match. So you have that feeling, you feel the connection immediately.
Was very special, actually. I mean, as you say, immediately. But I feel like that was, as I say, I was ready for
Yeah.
that. It wasn't anything to consider
Right,
for
right,
me.
right,
You
right.
know, it was ready.
When you say for me, did Peter have some other thoughts about it or?
Oh no,
Oh,
no, no. We were on the same page. But I
oh,
mean,
okay.
I wouldn't have proceeded with an adoption had we not been on the same page.
Yeah.
That just
In a household divided, that doesn't work.
so that's not going to be good for anybody, and in particular a child. You don't want to bring um, a child into a situation where well, somebody's saying, well, I don't know.
And no, no, yeah, no. And knowing Peter, as I remember Peter, a lovely man. Um, but did you have like any initial fears? I mean, did you go through being a mom? Let me say stop myself here. Being a biological mom and going through whatever fears and things we have when we have this baby. Am I going to be a good mom? Am I going to know what to do? Do you find if you with Christy, did you have some of those fears or?
I can't say that I had any fears, anything that was a fear. I mean, there
Mhm.
were challenges. She's a different child to
Right.
Stephen, so you know, but it was what I understood. I think what I understood was that you respond to a child or any person, according to where they are, what they need, what they want. And, hopefully you're able to guide them away from if there's something that they shouldn't be doing, like climbing on the dresser,
Well,
things like that. It
yeah.
really, the challenges really came from being a parent and being what any parent would go through. I think in terms of if you're thinking about doubts or anything like that,
Mm, mhm.
no, there was never that kind
Well,
of challenge to the relationship or to the adoption
yeah.
at all. And she's a girl, so there was that difference.
Yeah, yeah.
There was that difference. But
Well, thank
no,
you
it
for
was
renaming that, actually. Not a fear, but challenges, regular challenges with a child. Yes, what are they going to, don't touch the stove, blah, 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 blah. But was there any, because the children's aid at that time is still vetting you, right? They're still vetting you. So there isn't, is there a sense of permanency at that time or I have to, am I on my P's and Q's or how did you feel about that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I knew that there were going to be, some unannounced visits from the Children's Aid Society,
Oh, wow.
and I think they came a couple of times, just knocked on the door and came in. They didn't spend a whole lot of time, but rightly so. They came to see if
Mm-hmm.
everything seemed to be going okay, if Christy seemed to be happy, fed,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
doing all the things that she should be doing at her age, and whether or not, I'm assuming as well, whether or not there was any stress apparent. I'm thinking about this now, but I'm sure that they were looking to see if I looked like I was tearing my hair out. That might have been
Uh,
not been a good thing. But I think that those assessments came along, and as far as, I mean, the moment we were told she's ours, she was ours,
Mhm.
and never had a feeling throughout that period. And I'm not sure how long
Yeah, I
a
was going to ask you
period
that.
it was. Yeah, I can't really remember, but there was never a thought that she wouldn't stay with us for any reason,
Mm-hmm.
because she, I mean, we fit together really well.
Absolutely. Well, I can attest to that. That's for sure. So, did you have, well, how old was Stephen at the time? Because I can't.
He's 3 years older.
Yeah, so, did he have a reaction? How did he take to Christy?
Well, I must say he's a lovely man.
Yeah.
He's still a lovely man. He was a lovely boy, and he took to
Yeah.
Christy right away. Yeah, it just it was, when I think of how perhaps it could have gone,
Mhm.
there might have been like a jealousy or
Mhm.
something like that, but no, they played together. I remember being, up in the kitchen, and they were down in the uh, basement in the playroom, and I could hear them laughing down there and climbing on things. And every now and then I'd have to go down and see what they were up to, but they really managed it really, really well.
Yeah. That's. I mean, and certainly jealousies could come even if it was a biological daughter. I mean, these things happen with children. So it's beautiful, and Stephen is a lovely, lovely young man. I just saw him last year for a little bit, but um, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, really, the things I was thinking about, the fact that um, a lot of things that go on in a family life, I mean, or in with children, with having children,
Hmm.
are the things that I feel that I dealt with. It was things as a parent rather than as an adoptive parent.
Right. Right.
Because as soon as, I mean, I think one of the things that the Children's Aid Society did for me, or the person that was working with us at the time made clear, was that once we agreed and the papers were signed or whatever, I don't even remember what it was that we had to do,
Hmm.
that she was our daughter, period. And to have that firmness from them, to understand that we were on the same page in that sense,
Hmm.
you know, she was our daughter, and they
So
were not going to be, taking her back or having anything beyond the vetting period.
right, there's no backsies here. No backsies. No backsies. Um, but I want. I wanted to ask now, did you at that time, because things were different then, did you have access to the biological parents, or did they have access? Did you have records about who they were, what happened? Were any of those records given to you?
That was back in the day. You
Yeah, it
did
was
not.
back closed. Everything was closed.
Yeah,
So, okay.
yeah.
So there's
No,
no connection.
it was some time before I think that even began to change. Um, the information that adoptive parents were given, and the children even, just was not available to you.
Hmm. So, is there anything else you want to say about this before I ask you what advice you would give to parents who are considering adopting? Is there any advice you might have?
I think if I could give any advice, it would be to consider all of the options. I mean,
Mhm.
and consider, not options, I'm saying options, but really, I mean, consider all of your feelings. If you have a negative feeling, explore it. see what it is based on, see, understand, figure out whether or not it is something that is going to be long lasting and affect you, or whether it is not. And I will tell a story, if I could, that I think
Absolutely.
really, illustrates this to me. During the period of time that I was getting, closer to really considering going forward, I was thinking, actually, you know what, Shirley? I was trying to remember this, and I don't know if it is the case, but you and I may have been having lunch in a restaurant when this happened.
Mm.
And I was in my mind thinking about, well, what if I don't like the child?
Mm.
What if the child is somehow doesn't meet some standard of beauty or size or coloring or whatever? I was
Mm.
really wanting to be open to those questions, because they're really important questions to know the answers to before you do something. You don't want to get into a situation and then start, asking yourself important questions. And as I was looking around, I looked around the restaurant and I just picked somebody. I just picked a random person and thought, well, what about her? Could I adopt her? And I was watching her for a moment or two. And all of a sudden, whoever she was with must have said something funny. And she smiled. And in an instant, I knew that, yes, I could adopt her.
Wow.
I just realized, yes, this is going to be fine. This is going to be fine. But I
Wow.
think that it really is important to allow yourself, give yourself grace and allow yourself to really explore the important questions or issues that you think that you might have, even if it's something small. Just go there and go there and think about it.
That's wonderful advice and a beautiful story. And for for anyone who's feeling that they want to adopt, and for anybody listening, anybody who's curious. And is there anything else you want to share with us that that before you go, I want to ask one more question. What are the most rewarding moments you've had being a mom? I won't even say adoptive mom. You are a mom.
Oh boy, now you're going to make me cry.
Well,
The biggest reward I think any mom can have is to see your children happy,
yes.
to see your children having wonderful life partners, having established themselves in their communities, doing good work, being kind.
Yes.
And that gives me the greatest amount of joy, that I think a mom can have.
Absolutely.
You know, inform your children, your family, your friends about who you are and how you go about dealing with those things. And I think that just to see them be able to live their lives in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have been an awesome CEO today, just an awesome CEO. And of course, I love you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart for showing up and being open and fully vulnerable. And I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. So
I just would like to thank you, Sharon Lee, because I think that this is such an important, as being part of the, I, feel part of the community, and such an important work that you are doing. And I think that I would rather call it the work, or just as really an act of love that you are. Good messages and information. So thank you.
Thank you. I love you, Kalina. All right. So if you enjoyed this episode, I would really love to hear from you. Email me at info@outraisedvoices.com or Sharon Lee Williams at outraisedvoices.com. Who knows? On a future episode, you could be the CEO. Remember, your voice matters.